Hi, J.S. Bell. Welcome to One Final Twist.
Today's guest writes the kind of thrillers that feel like they should come with a warning label and a seatbelt. Writing as J.S. Bell and Scott Bell, he's the mind behind Welcome to Cottonmouth, which was my personal 2025 Book of the Year vote. It has a deep bench of fast, gritty, and unapologetically fun characters in this book. I absolutely loved it. The story is packed with action, moral gray areas, and characters who rarely do the safe thing. Um, Welcome to Cottonmouth drops the reader into a secret town in, is it East Texas? I think we're East Texas.
That's correct.
Cottonmouth, Texas, where retired spies and operators are supposed to stay quiet as the rule until chaos shows up at the front desk. Um, this book, what for me was super fun. It's a lean all the way in read. So welcome to One Final Twist with us today. I'm super excited. I'm totally gonna fangirl today, and I knew I would before we started this thing. Why don't you kind of for readers who haven't picked up Welcome to Cottonmouth, kind of give us a spoiler-free, introduction as to what it is.
Yeah, sure. Well, let me give you a little bit of backstory just because I think it helps set the stage. When you understand that for many, many years, the CIA has been able and enabled to settle foreigners into our country who have provided intelligence to help the United States, and so that sort of precipitated the idea of what if we had all these people in one place, in one town. So the idea behind this is that we have a small town where we have collected our foreign operatives and our, sometimes our broken spies and our different, retired folks that have served us in this respect, and we put them all into one town. And of course, when you do that, secrecy is important, right? So the idea behind Cottonmouth is that the collection of weird people, put it that way, um, have to remain, private and quiet. But what happens is we have a situation where a couple of young women who are on the run from a nefarious character, and I'm going to use that word nefarious just because I like it, but from a dangerous character, how's that? Um, Wind up in town, and our mayor of the town, I use the word loosely, mayor, our leader of this town is Devlin Mahoney, who is a retired defense intelligence operative, and he finds out that he has to either ignore their plight or get involved, and obviously getting involved entails a lot of things that you shouldn't be doing. So it winds up we spiral from should I get involved to, oh my God, now we're deeply involved and now we have to defend ourselves and defend these people and defeat the bad people. So how's that for spoiler free?
There we
It
go.
was good.
Yeah. So you talk a little bit about Devlin.
Mhm.
So what drew you to write about him, and
Mhm.
what makes him tick, sort of,
Yeah,
for you?
that's a great question because look, I have, and I can't say this, without being a little bit hypocritical because I don't like the superhero action character that you see a lot today in spy fiction and mystery fiction. The guy that has the smartest guy in a room that can do all the stuff, can defeat all the bad guys single-handedly without breaking a sweat. I don't really care for that, even though I've written that character. I'm not super fond of it. It's a little bit of a trope for me. So I looked for somebody in my head that's like, I don't want this guy to be super anything. I want to do just an average guy who sort of maybe has some skills and, is a little quirky, a little strange, a little different. And, so I created this thought process around Devlin Mahoney that he was going to be this guy who is a little bit broken, right? He's got some baggage, he's got some history. He's not the best shot. He's not the best, fastest car driver. He doesn't have all those types of skills, but he's a good person to have in your corner when things are going bad. So, that sort of built the persona for Devlin for me was to not have a Jack Reacher, not have I don't know, Scott Horvath. Think of the characters that you think of, the Gray Man, who's super tough and can, be eviscerated and still be operating, that type of thing.
He's almost an anti-hero, sort of.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
he is. Yeah, a little bit of a smart ass, a little bit of a, a little bit of a, I don't know where that came from either. I have no idea, but a little bit of a smart ass, a little bit of a character, if you will, and kind of antisocial in some ways. But
Yeah.
so again, I have no idea where that germinated, but still, um, I think as writers we inform all of our characters a little piece of ourselves, and I think Devlin has a little bit more than just a small piece of my own attitude toward things. So maybe that's why I enjoy him so much.
When you came up with these characters, I'm going totally out of order with the questions, but
Hmm.
now my mind is turning a bazillion miles an hour. When you came up with all of the characters in the book, so like as a reader, when I'm reading them, I wanted to keep track of each character and their special skill. I'm that, like, I'll try and find Easter eggs inside of a
Hmm.
book. And so this is before I knew that there was even going to be a follow-up to this. And I'm like
Yep.
tracking these characters and I have note cards and I want to know all of your special skills. So how did you keep track or develop each character?
Oh, I'm terrible at keeping track of things. I will write things and then go back, 3 weeks later and go, what did I say about that guy? And I go back and look it up. I'm one of those serious pantsers that I don't, fly by the seat of my pants and I don't outline and, don't do intelligent things like keep, scorecards of characters. But they remain distinct in my head for a lot of reasons because, I want each of them to have their own backstory. And part of the concept of this novel was to have this ensemble of characters that each of them at some point, I think I'm going to add a little bit more of their backstory to the whole universe of the Cottonmouth Tale. And that's why when I created them, I tried to make them as diverse as possible and as unique as possible. And so each of them have their own particular skill sets. But again, it's a thing where I have to be careful not to do something dumb and write the totally opposite of what I just said 10 pages ago. Go back and double check myself, make sure I didn't screw that up. But yeah, I don't know if I answered your question or not, Teresa, but I think it's a case of for me, these people live in my head. It's a crowded place, and I wind up just having to get to know them as people as much as anything during the process of writing the stories.
They're all
So,
so good. You could almost spin off each one of them. Like they could all make, by the time I was finished, it's like I had a dating application for each person. Like, like what
Oh,
they did,
perfect.
what they
Yeah.
complained about, you know?
Hey, that's not a bad idea. Let's have a Tinder. Let's have a spy Tinder. I'm thinking,
so I take it with what you just said, you're more of a pantser versus a planner, and you just start at one point and write, or is that pretty much your method?
that's correct. Yeah, and I tend to, I can write myself into a corner sometimes and have to go back out and find a spot to reverse course or change course. But for me, I like discovering the story as much as I think a reader likes discovering the story. For me, that makes it interesting. That makes it fun. That makes it something that I want to continue to do. If I had to write to an outline, I would be bored to tears in 20 minutes. I would have to just shoot myself because I can't do it.
Well,
I've
this
tried.
this
I can't do it.
with this book, you've definitely achieved that. The whole narrative and the world of Cottonmouth, it just it works. Each
Good. Thank
character,
you.
they're they have their own characteristics and their own, just it's hard to describe without
Hmm.
giving too much away. But each character brings certain things, and it works in the end. I mean,
Thank you.
so go ahead.
Thank you for that.
Um,
I was just appreciate it.
Yeah.
Welcome to Cottonmouth was my introduction to you as an author. And
Mhm.
so when I'm getting ready for this, even, well, maybe before this, I knew that you had been writing under Scott Bell. So what hats do you have to switch? Like, how do you switch up writing
Mhm.
between the two? Because I don't really know much about what you've written at Scott Bell.
It's much the same, quite honestly. With a little bit of difference, and I'll tell you what the difference is that Scott Bell was my starter author kit. I started writing 2011-ish time frame, published in 2014 under Scott Bell with Yeager's Law, and it was it's a learning experience, right? Every time you write, you learn a little bit more and so on. I think Cottonmouth is a culmination of 11 previous novels that I have built the craft, if you will. I'm not going to say that the first ones were bad or juvenile or whatever. I think they stand alone there, and I think they're pretty decent. But I think by the time I got to Cottonmouth, it's time to take that next step, if you will. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like you've hit your stride. Like you're
Yeah,
in your happy place for you even.
yeah. I'm a 12-year overnight success, right?
Your books wrestle with loyalty and moral compromises.
Mhm.
Um, is that transition something that just keeps showing up for you?
I'm not sure if I understand your question completely. But what I would say is that I think every bit of fiction exists for based on conflict, right? And whether that conflict's an
Yeah.
internal conflict with your moral decision making, or whether that's an external conflict with somebody trying to shoot you from long range or whatever it is, there is always something that has to precipitate the narrative. And I think moral conflicts can be as interesting as external physical conflicts.
Yeah.
So I think as I think about how to write and how I want each scene to be crafted, I think about what conflicts exist underneath this this narrative that I need to bring forward and sort of drive the story using that decision making of what do I do now? Because that's what people I think a lot of people read for is to think, what if I was in this situation? How would I handle this conflict,
Yeah.
internal, external, whatever it is? And so, yeah, I think that you know any kind of conflict, especially moral decision making, is important to a narrative, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, historical romance, or action thrillers.
So you kind of mentioned historical romance.
Mhm.
Uh, so this book is pure action crime thriller.
Mhm.
Uh, are your other books in the same genre?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I've got two series. One is what I call a police procedural, for lack of a
Mhm.
better term,
Okay.
Texas Ranger slash FBI agent
Okay.
buddy type of book. And then the other one is strictly action packed He-Man, heroic
Yeah.
character, male and female characters, by the way. Um, in the other, then I've got some weird stuff. Okay, quite honestly, I've got a no noir type of book called Murder City Blues. I've got a weird western called just Judge Shivers, and a Working Stiffs, which is my quasi zombie novel.
Okay.
And I think there's one other. I'm just escaping. Oh, Pest Cemetery, it's a ghost story. So
Oh.
it's just that there's some. I'm like the writer's equivalent of a squirrel, right? I see something. Oh, wait, I got to go chase
Yeah.
that now. I got to go chase that. I don't like to get locked into any one thing. That's why I'm a little slow at getting some of the series produced, because I don't want to continue to be locked into a single series. I don't know how Lee Child does it, man. What is he at 30 books now for one character doing one thing? I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you do that and maintain some freshness with it? But
Yeah.
hey, it works for him, so more
Is
power to
is
him.
is there a genre you'd like to try that you haven't written?
Yeah, there is actually. I'm working on a military science fiction.
Oh
That's
wow.
my next thing that and it started out, and it's actually ate my lunch, and I had to put it aside because it started out as this one little short story, right?
Yeah.
You ever been there where you're writing a short story and all of a sudden it just blows up?
Yeah.
And that's what happened. It kept blowing up and blowing up and blowing up, and I kept thinking, man, this is just killing me. So I had to put it aside and get back to work that was actually productive. So one time I'm going to do that and get that finished, and maybe add that to my list of weird genres that I write.
Is there one that you would avoid completely? And even if they made you, the publisher said, "Okay, you've got to write this." What would be the one that would make you cringe?
Biography. Oh my. You know, that's a good question. I think I probably would not do well with I mentioned historical fiction, probably would not do well with that. It's not something that I really get into. I think I have to enjoy something in order to want to write it. So I could even do romance if I had to, but I would not. I'd be a little tougher or harder pressed to do historical type fiction, because one, it takes a lot of research, and you got to learn things, and that's hard. So who wants to do that?
No, go
Is
ahead.
there a question that interviewers, and I'm sure I mean, you get these
Mhm.
all the time. Is there a question that interviewers don't ask you that you're like, man, I wish they would ask me that one? Like there's something you want to tell us,
Well,
we don't ask.
have I always been this handsome? Yes, it has. It's true. It's a question I've always waited for a long time. Um, no, I don't think so. I think, I enjoy all the questions that I get because, if people are interested in what I have to say. It's like, oh, that's great. I love it. It makes me happy. But I think I like to talk about the craft of writing a little bit more sometimes than, because I think it's interesting. I see a lot of stuff written today that I'm like, really? That got published? How did that happen? Because it's really the facts are wrong, or it's so melodramatic, or somebody's violated Elmore Leonard's rules of using suddenly 147 times in one narrative. That type of thing just right makes me crazy. So sometimes I like to talk a little bit more about that, but no, I think anything is fair game, and I enjoy all the questions that I get. So nothing in particular.
When
I'm
you
glad
were
that people are asking me questions. I'm like, they want to know what I have to say. It's great. I love it. Ask me
when
anything. I don't
you
care.
when you do research for your books,
Mhm.
is there anything that you discovered that was kind of a shock to you?
Well, like a lot of writers, I have to research some weird stuff from time to time, and I'm a little concerned about that because obviously, when you start typing in to your search bar things like how do you disable an aircraft? How do you cause one to fall out of the sky? That type of thing can be a little bit worrisome. No, actually, I think when I started to research this particular book, I didn't realize that there was actually a mandate for the CIA that what is it, the National um, oh my gosh, I'm gonna blank on the initials, but there's an organization within the CIA that does nothing but handle the spies that we import and settle into this country.
Huh.
And that's something I didn't realize, until I started looking at this. I thought, I had no idea that we did that. I thought we should, but until I started thinking this, hey, why don't we have this city with these people in it, and did some research, like, well, it's totally feasible. We could have had something like that.
Yeah.
Would you ever live there in Cottonmouth or whatever city it was at the
If I could get my wife to move to Cottonmouth, I'd do it in a heartbeat, but at least outside, in the country where I could have sheep and goats and cows and stuff. But big farm dogs, right? The kind that loaf around outside and that type of stuff. But she likes to be close to Target and doctors and all those kind of things. So I don't think I'm ever going to get there.
So since you've been writing since 2011,
Mhm.
is there anything that you believed to be true then about writing that you have learned since then was completely wrong?
There are no groupies. I was told there would be groupies. You know, no, it's a case of, yeah, there's a tremendous number of things that I thought were true that aren't true. One, it takes a lot. Uh, you know, Here's the thing, right? If you have this mentality that I am, and a lot of guys are, right? A lot of people are. It's like you see something and go, man, that looks easy. I could do that. And that's how I thought about writing. Same thing. Back when I was a kid, I would work on my cars and I think, that carburetor, I could tear that down. It looks easy. I could do that. And then the day later, you've got all these parts spread out in the garage floor. And you're going, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? The kind of thing with writing is that, you read as a lot, you read a lot of books and you think, this is not hard. I've been writing since I was in grade school. I should be able to put together a fiction book. And then you get into it and you find out there's things like point of view and there's, tense and there's conflict and all these different things that go into it. It's like, oh my gosh, it's really, really difficult. It's not as simple as it sounds on the surface. So that was a bit of a surprise. I thought I could just sit down and just bang out some stuff on the keyboard and people would go, oh my God, you're a great writer. But it didn't happen that way.
So, with Welcome to Cottonmouth, how long did it take you from the time that idea came to your mind
Hmm.
until you submitted your final draft with all the edits and all that completed? How long did that take?
5 years. And the reason it took 5 years, and that's a little unusual. The reason it took 5 years is that I conceived of this in 2019, and I was able to write it during the COVID era when we had a lot of spare time on our hands. So the actual first draft was done fairly quickly. But then once your first draft is done, you know what happens next, right? You got to edit, you got to re-edit, you got to go back, and then you start the query trail, right? You go out and you start querying agents or querying publishers and getting back rejections, and networking with people to say, hey, can you recommend somebody, blah blah blah. And so all that process took a while. We actually signed an agent. Went out and tried to sell it, got a bunch of rejections, came back, said, hey, I can't sell this. It's fine, okay. Set it aside, did some more queries, blah blah blah. Finally networked my way into a publisher with Blackstone, and from that standpoint, then once they started looking at it, then they had to do their edits and come back. And so anyway, it was 5 years roughly from start to finish. So
I
2020,
could
it's
see
published in
this.
25.
Yeah.
Sorry, Teresa, go ahead.
I could totally see this being a series. Like I wouldn't want it to
Mhm,
be a movie. I'm not gonna lie, but like a big like a mini series TV
mhm,
adaptation.
mhm.
So who would you get to play Devlin?
Wow. Oh my God. When originally I thought about it, I was thinking Sam Rockwell. You know
Yeah.
him?
Oh yeah.
I was also thinking of thought a little bit lately about Tom Hardy just because I like him as an
Oh
actor.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, there's a number of choices there that have sort of run through my head. But have you ever seen that movie, Mr. Right, with oh my God, I'm going to blank on her name, Anna Kendrick, and I think it
Yep.
was Sam Rockwell. Yeah,
Yeah.
that originally that the guy with the clown nose that sort of was informed part of my Devil Mahoney character as I was writing. So that would be one actor I think would be able to pull that off pretty easily.
I'm looking him up right now. Yeah.
He's
Fair
been
enough. Fair enough.
he's been in a lot of stuff. A lot of
Hmm.
stuff.
Yep.
So, of all the characters that you've written, which one would you not want to be in a room with, a locked room with?
Of my good characters or my bad characters?
All of them.
All of them. All of them. Oh my goodness. Oof, wow. I've been so many bad guys. It's not, the bad guy in this, um, it's not horrible, right? I mean, he has his issues, but he's not necessarily an evil guy that you wouldn't mind being in a room with. I don't know. That's a great question, Scott. I'm gonna have to think about that one for a minute.
Okay, that's
I
fine.
guess, yeah, no, I guess there's a lot of bad guys. Let me think about it for a minute.
Pick
Probably
one of
some of
your
the, yeah,
anti-heroes. Which one would drive you craziest, you think?
yeah, right. Um, well, Devlin, like I said, is a bit of a smart ass and a bit of a pain in the butt to deal with, antisocial. So, he would be difficult day in and day out to deal with. But um, I don't know, man. I like all my good guys and good gals so much. It's hard to say.
That's fine. What
Oh, I
what
take
to
it back. I take
you?
it back. I'm going to back
Okay,
up. I'm okay. Just it popped into my head.
no, go ahead.
The book Working Stiffs. It has a main character, the guy named Joe Warren. Talk about antisocial. Right, this guy is way out there on the edge of antisocial. If you pick up that book and you start to read it, you're gonna hate this guy. My mistake. I shouldn't have written quite so antisocial. But he is definitely an anti-hero that I would not enjoy spending time with. Put it that way.
What to you? What does being a successful writer mean?
Successful is a great question. Obviously we measure success in this business by number of units sold, right? That's one way, and you wind up becoming quote unquote famous by either longevity or number of titles or the fact that you're in TV, film, and that type of thing. To me, I published a book, so I'm a successful writer.
Yeah.
That was success to me, was just to get into the publication. I think there are certain check blocks that we like to check along the way. One of them is, can I get a literary agent? Check. Okay, that's a success. Can I get published by a big name publisher? Check. That's a success. So I've got those two check blocks. Can I get this thing made into a TV or film? Check that box. That's success. And so, that's the progress. That's the path I'm on today, is to try to get that final check block there, and getting that, I think, I get to retire at that point.
Yeah.
At least I get to have bragging rights for, I'm a successful author, whatever it is, whatever that means.
So there have been hints dropped about the sequel, and I watch it
Mhm,
on Twitter. So is there anything that you could tell us, maybe the name or a pub day
mhm.
or just any little piece that you can feed me, please?
Yep.
Because
The
I am
title,
a groupie. You said you wanted groupies.
I
Here
want
I
to,
am.
yeah. All right. You're official. Okay. I'm going to send you a t-shirt. Um, no, the title, and I'm terrible at titles, so this will probably change, but the title that I have today for the sequel is called Snake Charmer. Okay,
Mhm.
so if you get the play on Cottonmouth, Snake
Yeah.
Charmer, okay, and it is going to go much more in depth into the backstory of Devlin and Zevon as their relationship developed or began. There's going to be some trouble in paradise with Devlin and with Britta. They're going to have a little bit of romantic trouble as things go on, and then we're going to have a traitor
Oh.
inside of Cottonmouth who is going to give up some of the secrets and
Oh.
reveal some of the people who are there and cause some havoc from that standpoint.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that's what I've got so far. And I'll tell you, it is written first draft. It is at the agent. We'll see if he comes back and tells me it's crap and I have to redo it or whatever it is. But we are, definitely have gotten the hard part done, which is the first draft finished and packaged up.
Oh, good.
Do you have
I'm
plans
excited.
for
Do it.
like how many? Are there like a series, a trilogy? I mean, do you?
I got to sell number two. And if I can do it, if Blackstone wants to buy number two, then yeah, I'm all in, man. We're gonna do more, but it's going to depend a little bit upon the success of this first one. If it earns out, obviously, and then they'll decide if they want to have another one to go with it. But I've anticipated that they will. I have confidence in it, so I think having that degree of confidence means I've at least written the second one, and I can definitely see more coming after that.
What are you reading right now?
I am reading right this very minute a Clancy-esque book by M.P. Woodward called Red Tide, and
Okay.
it's came recommended from. I'm actually at a blank who recommended it, but I think one of the reviewers that liked Cottonmouth also put this up as one of their favorite. And then just finished a couple of others that were also on that list from one of the reviewers, and that's The Ascent by Adam
Adam.
Plantinga, something like that.
Yeah.
And then Greg Podolsky's, I probably ruined his name, but The Recruiter also, that was a good one.
Okay. What would you think, or what do you think is one of the most underrated novels out there?
Hmm. Well, at one time I would have said Point of Impact by Stephen Hunter because he was relative when he wrote that he was relatively unknown, and it was such a good book. I mean, it was the germination of the Bob Lee Schwager series.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with
Hmm.
that, um, and nobody ever heard of him. Also, Victor Gischler, who wrote Gun Monkeys and Shotgun Poet, I think was the name of his books, and he was relatively unknown. They made a movie out of Gun Monkeys called Fast Charlie with Pierce Brosnan and
Oh,
Marina
okay.
Baccarin. So I don't know if you've seen that or not, but both I think he's been underrated for a long time as an author. I think if you
Hmm.
can turn on to Victor Gischler, man, you won't go back. He's also one of those weird multi-genre type guys. He wrote a lot of crime fiction, and then he switched over to fantasy, which he's done really well at.
Did you always know you were going to be an author? Like, like this was what your destiny would be?
No, I think well, when I was in junior high school, I wrote a really longhand scribbled out. This is back in Stone Age when we had stone tablets, but I wrote out a story that my teacher really just fell in love with, and she loved it. I thought, oh my God, I'll be a writer. But that dream, just sort of evaporated, and then I tried again when I was about 30. Uh, I actually wrote a book with my son on my knee as I was using my monochrome word processor to type it out. Um, and then I'm so glad that never made the light of day because it's awful. And then put it aside for 20, 30 years and then tried again. So the answer is, did I know? No, did I want to be? Yes.
If you could take a road trip with one of your characters and just drive for the day,
Mhm.
which one would it be and where would you go?
Well, um, there is a series that I have called the Jaeger series, and Jaeger has a love interest in there. Her name is Charlie Buchanan. Uh, First of all, I have to have a hall pass for my wife for this, but if I had the opportunity, I would take a road trip with Charlie Buchanan because she's a lovely redhead with a very spirited sort of
Oh,
demeanor. So yeah,
okay.
I think she'd be fun to be with in a
If
platonic sort of way.
yes, 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 yes. If if our viewers want to connect with you on social media,
Mhm.
what are your handles and how can and where are you located on social media?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter as or X, whatever they call it these days, and that's how old-fashioned I am. I'm still calling it Twitter,
Yeah.
whatever. But that, and then Facebook and Instagram. And I'm still
Okay.
learning. Instagram is a foreign country to me, where I don't speak the language very well. Uh,
Yes.
but I'm still trying to figure it out and learn that. But I'm on all those platforms under the JS Bell name for the
JS
most
Bill.
part.
Okay.
Yeah, and BookBub. What else? I mean, Amazon author page, all those
Yeah.
things are out there.
Okay.
Yep, happy to post those to anybody who wants to know.
Do you happen to have an independent bookstore that has your books that are signed?
I do not. That's a great
Okay.
thought, though. I should
Okay.
probably do that at some point in time.
Sometimes I mean we kind of ask that to everybody because
Hmm.
I personally love signed books.
Right.
I was blessed enough to receive yours that signed, and I was like, when I opened it up, I said, "Gosh, I hope he signed it," and you did, and I was very very happy. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
Teresa,
it's worth about what you paid for it. So what can I say, man? Maybe someday you can say, "Ah, look, I got a signed copy."
You need to
Teresa,
come to BoucherCon with us. Then you'll find
Yeah.
all the reader groupies people.
Oh,
yes.
awesome. All right. When is that again? I forgot.
It's
Next year,
October.
it's in October of next year at in Calgary, which I'm
Ooh,
probably not going
wow.
to go, but Teresa probably will. But
Nice.
that's it because my wife travels with me, and
Hmm.
that's a lot for two people to if she'll go by herself. But I'm not going to go to Canada without my wife, and I just don't know
Mm-mm.
if it's in the cards for us. But the next year it's either in Philadelphia or Indianapolis, and it's in Washington D.C. also in the coming years.
Mm.
So it'll be back stateside in the coming years.
Well, if it's the choice between Philadelphia or Calgary, I think all things considered, I'd rather do Calgary. But yeah.
Yeah, the we may end up going to Calgary, but
Mm.
BocherCon is impressive. It is I can't say enough about the way it's put together and the
Mm.
panels, and it's just they have multiple panels going on at a time, but it's like you would be in the suspense thriller or action thriller genre,
Mm.
and you would be with other of those type of authors. Well, maybe a cozy mystery panel is going on, or there's you can connect easier with your fans. So,
Gotcha.
and then they sell all the books and sign, and I mean, it's great. It's a really, really fun thing.
Okay. I'll definitely look into it. I've thought about it before. I just have never gotten off the dime and made it happen. So
Yeah.
good point, though. Maybe I'll
Anything
get
else?
Blackstone to do something there.
I don't remember if they were there last year or not. But there's tons of thriller writers. I mean, it's unreal. I mean, it was just it was so overwhelming. I mean, there was probably three or four hundred authors, and it was
Right.
4 or 5 days. It started at like 7 o'clock in the morning and went to midnight. A couple of nights they had movie night and all that. So
Oh gosh.
yeah,
Okay.
it was. If you want to do something, they have something scheduled every day from like I said, early morning until at least 7 o'clock. Now the late night stuff didn't happen every night, but it was cool.
Well,
Teresa,
I'm old now. That sounds like past my bedtime, actually. But
I was gonna say I think Devlin would think it would get cranky real quick, but like for me, I'm there from 7 in the morning till midnight. I'm like, ah, I gotta go. I love it.
well,
yeah.
it's good to
I
have that energy. Yeah, I love that.
I took like probably 75 or 80 books to get signed, and I brought home over 300.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it
All right.
was it was it was unreal.
Yeah, I think the
That's
shipping
why I
costs
don't
are
want
too
to go to
good.
Calgary because I wouldn't be able to
Hmm.
afford to get back.
Yeah, well, yeah, the shipping, what is it? You've got customs and all sorts of fun stuff to
Yeah.
get through. No question.
Well,
I'm
we
done.
do
I'm done
want
with this
to.
guy. Shut him up. Get him out of here.
I Scott has to keep me in check. Like I will veer off. I'm the chatty one, I'm the talky one, I am the off the rails one, and I know this.
That's okay. It's
I,
good to
I
have
want to
that, you know. Well, I appreciate that, Scott. Thanks so much for your time. I'll tell you that give a plug to Liz Spillane.
list.
Liz is
That's
the
it. List
publicist,
Malone.
and she is awesome. She does a tremendous job all the time, 100%. So
Yeah.
can't say enough good things about Liz, and so thank you for that. Let me give her that plug because she's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
When that
found
e
me randomly on Twitter. She messaged me like random, and I never get anything on Twitter because
yeah.
I figured Twitter is kind of for boys. So I
Yeah.
Okay,
will rarely check Twitter, and it was there, and I said, "Yeah, okay, let's do this." And then it ended up being my book for the year. So
Yeah.
bless your
When
heart. Thank you so much for
when I
that,
got
by the way.
because she got me via email. So I mean, if she
Yeah,
works, I couldn't hit the reply button fast enough to say yes, please. So
she's awesome. Yeah, so
yeah.
thank you for that. Thank you for the time. I appreciate you asking me all the good questions and even the ones that stumped me. But thank you for that. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's great.
Um, Thank you again for
And
joining us.
and Teresa, love you. Appreciate all the
thank you.
kudos. All right,
All right. Thank you.
you guys take care.
Bye.
Bye
Bye now.
bye.